Hello and welcome to Crypto Talk Now. I don't see anybody's here, so I'm gonna go ahead and wait for some people to join, basically. So, how you doing, Larry? And I see Menelect is in here. Thanks for joining us tonight, Menelect. Hopefully, you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend. Just gonna wait for a few more people to basically come on in. Just kind of checking out the overall crypto market and so on. All right. Guess it's gonna be one of those days, huh? All right. Well, man, I think a lot of people are just maybe saying hello or goodbye to some of their loved ones, even though it's Saturday night. You never know. You never know the case. All right. Mr. Lambos is in the house. He says, you guys heard of Elon Goat token is about to drop off the monument at Tesla. Really? No, I did not hear about that. I know of a lot of different Elon particular tokens and so on. I remember one from way back, summer 2000 or 2021, I should say. Elon Gate. A lot of people were hoping that that was going to do really, really well. It did okay, but I remember that one specifically, and just I don't know, kind of like fizzled out. I don't even know if it's still around. It might be, but no, never heard of that particular one. Elon has many tokens. Yeah, I agree. I might actually double check on that particular one. Let's see. Crypto God, damn, this is the starting of the bottom. Good to have you here, Crypto God. I don't like I trust utility, not hype coins. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm just gonna double check to see if that particular one is still around. Let's see. Elon Gate. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, that thing's still around. That's crazy. Kind of show you what I'm talking about right here. Um, this right here. I remember this a long time ago. So it used to have it on my watch list for whatever reason, but I mean, come on, $831 a volume, unverified market cap of 4,453,000, and it basically looks like a blatant rug, if you will. I mean, just kind of classic pump and dump, if you will. So kind of came on CMC. I'm not saying the one that Mr. Lambos is talking about. So I'm just pointing this one out because there's a there was a lot right from back then even now. So April 2021 goes up, kind of have a brief dump, goes back up May, and maybe a week later, pumps really high. Let's say 6 zeros, 81, and then just dumps from there. And then let's see here. The low within the last year, 3, 6, 8. So I mean, I don't know. For some of those people who, I guess you could say, got into this before it, went to 6 zeros, 5, 8, or whatever it was. Did they get their money? I don't know. I know they also donate towards charity and stuff like that. Supposedly they had to add in Times Square at one point. I don't know, man. It's been low ranking for the longest time, and yeah, sitting at 5,694. I wonder if their website's still up. Bringing social media. Yeah, I'm good on that one. Anyway, let's see who else is up in here by now. All right. So Crypto World is dead. Wow, that's some doom and gloom. Crypto Puppet. Hi, Max. Hello, Crypto Puppet. Thank you for joining us. Daniel Gayton. What up, guys? Good to see you, Daniel. Mr. Lambo says that he trusts utility too, but right now there's not much going on in the crypto world. My thing is this. I think there's a lot going on in crypto world. I think if anything, it's again the ones with utility and so on. So like this whole thing about crypto is going away, and so on. The way I look at it is blockchain is not going away, and the innovations of blockchain isn't going away. So if anything, I mean, if there's a lot of garbage projects that get swept away, then they get swept away. And if anything, I'm going to put more focus, like I have been, especially in this crypto bear market that we've been in, to research that much more into the true blue chip projects and so on. At this point, they're basically products, right? Quant, XRP, things like that. XLM, because seeing where those particular ones have a bright future ahead and so on. Crypto guy, what's the top 5 utility coins? Well, Quant, XRP, XLM, XDC, that's 4 right there. The 5th, I mean, man, I don't know, maybe ALBT right up there, right? I guess some people can even say, Casper. There's a few other ones, but it's basically all in that mix of the ISOs. There's obviously other ones as well. All right, Tim Shea says, hey, thank you for being here, Tim. Mr. Lambo's saying hello. All right, let's go a little bit further down. Crypto dead equals bear market. Okay, fair enough. Crypto Puppet, Max, you think Terra Classic will ever reach its max price again? Oh, you're talking about before it was actually called Terra Classic, all right? You're talking about in the $150 level. I don't know if it'll ever reach back up to that. I know some people will make that case and so on. I don't know about that, but as far as it reaching $1 eventually, I think that scope is possible. But again, like I mentioned, I want to see all the goals that we need to get to first, like a penny, right? And 7 cents, 50 cents, $1, things like that before we start talking about some of these other ones. Because I mean, with all the crazy volatility and whatnot that's going on in the market as we speak, a lot of people are not necessarily thinking of those long-term scopes, if you will, long-term vision, if you will. But if anything, as far as that particular price level, I mean, I'm just going to double check that. I mean, what was it at originally? Hold on. Terra Luna Classic. I mean, was it 120, 140? I can't even remember. Let's see, all time. Hold on. So $116.42 back on April 4th. I don't know, man. That's just, there's gonna be a lot to build it back up. But while we're on the subject, we could take a pause to reflect on this. Why not? So a while back, I actually showed this, I think, on the last show, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of it. If you guys happen to be around for that, let me just go ahead and share that again. I think I retweeted it. Pretty sure I did. I know I've been tweeting a lot of different things. Sorry if it seems like I'm out of breath. I kind of actually ran to get here. I ran to get here and there was nobody here. So that's okay. I could use the exercise. All right. I did find it. Let me share this with you guys. And here's what I would wish, especially for you guys that are Luna Classic holders, to do. All right. So there's this particular one. And again, I already retweeted this the other day. And if you guys missed this, it's okay. But if anything, try to retweet this, because here's the thing. This is so much more different than your typical Luna Classic. Luna Classic's going to be listed on Binance US by Monday. Or, that, whether it happens or not, right? I mean, we want some of these things to happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it, right? Great positive catalyst, right? But I'm more for things that make sense, like realistic expectations, the right type of vision, if you will, instead of just hopium / hype, the combination of the two. So check this out. Draw your eyes to this particular one presented by David Goldbelt. And it says, as Luna Classic holders, I ask you to use your Twitter might, right, like I'm mentioning, to get the message out. And of course, I basically quoted him and so on. It says, "Our greatest strength as a community is our voice. Please do your part and use it." I like this outline because, if anything, like when we have a person like yourself who asks the question, "Hey, Max, do you ever see us getting back to, for instance, where it was before?" I think this is the road to make this happen. And how is that? Basically this particular outline. IBCs are opening to the Cosmos in, of course, about 12 days. That's a big thing. We covered it here. Um, you know, well before quite a few other people start talking about the whole thing with Adam and Cosmos, not to, to our own horn and so on. But if you were around for it and been following us almost daily, you remember. Luna V23 is projected to be complete the next month and undergo testing and development in Q1 of 2023. Again, key things 2023. I think, if anything, when we saw in this bear market, all these things were happening. Let's face it, was it September? That was a great time, right? But we saw all these things happening. Everyone was so excited about it, and rightfully so, right? Luna Classic seemed to be the thing that would pump and do well compared to the rest of the market, with Bitcoin and Ethereum going the other way, and that was magical, if you will, right? Especially that 3-month period where we saw there were 20,000% increase. I think it might even be 25,000 if I'm not mistaken, or where this went from the time of basically May 12th in that 3-month time frame and so on, right? So exciting. Hence why so many people came in. And then, of course, let's face it, somewhat recently, right, within the last few weeks and so on, there's even people saying this thing is dead. But for one, it's not dead. And on top of that, look at this. In 2023, with this outline, if you're still convinced that this thing's going to be dead, I don't know what to tell you guys. So, for instance, it's a chain parity to Luna 2 expected in Q1 2023, which will allow, let me blow it up more. Let's see here, which will allow 150 plus decentralized apps to easily deploy with us. Again, this is the road work, the map, if you will, to accomplishing some of the things that so many people like yourself are basically stating. Like, how do we get up, to $100 plus and so on? If anything, maybe we get to a quarter of that. I don't know. Maybe it's just a sliver of that. Again, I'm at least trying to shoot for, the penny, half of, was it 7 cents, a dollar, and so on. But I definitely think the road that you see here is how it gets done, especially in 2023. I'm not going to read all of this, but there's other key things I want to mention. Work is being done to create a AFT or use USTC as a stable token around Q1 or Q2 of just that 2023, right? So, I know there's a lot that has to be done in order to accomplish some of these things and so on. But if you've been following Luna Classic for the longest time, like, what Mike Cornwell mentioned with the whole thing with the concept of the wormhole, that's an ongoing thing that's happening literally every single day. Excuse me. After CosWasm is updated, Zardar, basically, of the Terra Rebels, will be creating an on-chain decentralized app deployment platform using partition pools and swapping, using USTC as the on-chain reserve currency, and ultimately burning massive quantities on Luna Classic. This should be around Q3 or Q4 of 2023. I'll give Clearpool a shout out. That's basically what they're doing already, right? But again, you recognize, for instance, what's going on with Luna Classic, and of course they want to follow the recipe. Not that they follow Clearpool, but the point is they're going to go with what works. It also says Professor Kim has successfully set up the grants program to facilitate funding to the most effective initiatives, getting funding where it needs to go. Right, delegating where things make sense, and maybe like not passing proposals on ones that don't. Right? Can you imagine some projects that we got into if we as a community could have maybe voted towards the delegation of some of these things? Saitama. Anyway, multiple decentralized apps, games, NFTs are currently deploying or development. And then last, ultimately, Luna Class will be what is intended to be a DeFi platform and much more. It will be diverse, decentralized, mecca of the cosmos and crypto. And again, everything you see here, I mean, if you just came in, the key thing is 2023. It ain't getting everything happening overnight. And that's a key thing I just wanted to point out. I think so many people, again, especially they came into crypto in 2021, they got spoiled, if you will, with how they literally were blindfolded through a dart at the dartboard and so on. and they caught fire on a bunch of random meme coin projects and so on. Crypto is not a get rich quick scheme. And on top of that, we are still in a bear market. All right. I wanted to point that out. If you happen to be following me on Twitter, retweet this specific one. It's one thing to retweet about the whole thing of, Coinbase on Monday. It could happen, right? But this is more realistic, in my opinion. All right. Let's get back into the comments. Kind of got fired up on that one. All right. That's a great question, though. I appreciate it. All right, Daniel Gayton. There is a lot of people building right now. The crap tokens will be gone, and that is okay. Yeah. Or if anything, the crap tokens will weed themselves out literally on their own when they realize that some people just, instead of, selling for a loss, people like myself are going to wait and not keep those moon bags. If things were to get turned around in a bull market where we could just somehow salvage some of our horrible investments. All right. Crypto God, can you do a little deep dive on XDC? Sure, I've actually done more of a deep dive on XDC in the past. Those type of ones, I usually do it, like, for instance, on a recorded and so on. But, if that's the direction a lot of people want to see this particular show go tonight, I mean, we can definitely take it under consideration. Algo is number 5. That's a good point. I do have Algo as well. I just recently got into Algo. Daniel Gayton, I like Gala as well as the ISO coins. Yeah, I think, Gala definitely, Gala. I just always think of the apple, let's be honest. Tomato. I look at that particular one as like being one of the standout ones for crypto gaming, if you will. Them and also Clayton, right? We basically seen Clayton do very well. I posted a buy alert, 13 cents a while back, and that went up to like roughly, I think, 28 cents at one point. Now it's back down to like 17 cents and so on. But I mean, if a person was even swing trading on that one, it wouldn't be too shabby. And also, of course, in the bull market, that's been well beyond that particular price. Thanks for pointing that out, Daniel. Thank you for being here, by the way. Salamander, XDC is my number 1. Yes, it is. And you guys, if you're new, Salamander has, like, I think well over 1 million at this point, maybe even 1,100,000 or something. I don't know. If I had to guess, it would be something like that. I know it's well over 1 million, though. I'm just saying if you load it up still after that. All right, Mr. Lambos. Algo is definitely in my top 5/10. Nice. XXI Gaming's in the house. He says 100% fire, showing love, all that stuff. Good to see you, XXI. Congratulations on one of your picks, Stratos. I did see it was still up. In fact, let's just take a moment basically to recognize that, because why not? It's nice to recognize some people from our community and the accomplishments that they've done as far as the research and so on. So I'm just going to present this for just a moment. I'm going to show you guys, for instance, my watch list, the whole 9 yards. So for instance, I do see that the overall crypto market cap is at 238.44 billion. But I want to draw your attention to my particular watch list instead of looking at all that for now, because why not? Now, on the 1 hour chart, let's see what's going on with that. Proof of means is up 9.73%. All right, but check this out. On the 24-hour chart, maybe there was a sell-off on that particular one. All right. So Stratos, the one that XXI has been looking at quite a bit. Even on 24-hour charts, up about 4%, but on the average so far right now, it's 66.80%. Earlier today, this even said over 100%. So, just like with anything, guys, I mean, when things go way up, people do take their profits and so on. This one's currently ranked 646. There's quite a few places you can get it from. I mean, not like a ton, but if you're thinking about getting into this, and I know that this is kind of new, but I mean, as far as our coverage on this, you could get off of Uniswap, Gate.io, BKEX, AscendX, but you got to keep in mind, you have to live outside the United States to use AscendX. It's on MEXC. A lot of people like MEXC, right? LA Token, XT.com, and Juby. All right. And I think XXI mentioned that he got it from Uniswap. So Yeah, the volume is way up there, 152% up. But here's the key things, right? So XXI brought this to my attention, I think roughly about a month ago, give or take. And I don't know, I think he mentioned that he got into it maybe 15 cents, maybe 30, I don't know, but you were kind of mad at yourself for not, buying it when it was super low. Hold on. Let me pull it up for the last month. So maybe 3 months, maybe. I don't know what particular level you were talking about, but I don't know. This was roughly, I guess, 31 cents back on November 22nd, which was just, let's face it, a few days ago, right? And where are we at now? 4 days ago? Really? Huh. Let me look at that again. Yeah, 4 days ago is about 29 cents. It's up to 65 cents. And of course, we saw as high as 85 cents. So that's not too shabby, man. I mean, to go from 28 cents 4 days ago to 86 cents, that's tremendous. This is definitely, if anything, a good swing trade. Now, XXI was also mentioned, he's into it long term and so on. And this is something that I've been considering, maybe taking a deep dive into, because there are some gems out there. And he feels as though this one is definitely a gem, according to him and so on. A year ago, apparently, this was down as low as 14 cents. Let's see if it's reflective on that. Yeah. I mean, was it roughly June 20th of 2022? Huh. And that's the way it is sometimes. I'm like, you'll see projects like they'll just maybe, whole new dev team coming in. You just never know what the case be. Like, it says dormant. Some people think, oh, well, this is just a scam. There's no volume. And it might still be a great project, but people forget about it. And then a whole new team may come in and turn things around. And that's my whole thing right now. It's like, I'm kind of on the fence with this other one I've been telling you guys about. And that is, of course, you can do more research. Check out the stratos.org on this particular one. But you know how every once in a while I'm mentioning Solace, SLC. Why? Because it's an absolute gamble. Now, I'll tell you this much. If this one is not just a gamble, but on top of that, we recently seen this go a little bit above, like, I don't know, 1.5, 2 cents and so on. But the reason why I'm looking at it is kind of like a continuous swing trade, if you will. And this is a metaverse platform, in which originally, when I first covered this, it was at the beginning of this year. Yep, right around that $4.96 mark. I did a video on it back when I was just MaximusCrypto, not teamed up here with Larry at CTN. For one, where Larry is, he spent some time with his family. He's got like a family gathering and so on. So, it's to be expected. It's the Thanksgiving weekend. So, shout out to him. But anyway, I did cover this roughly around slightly below that $4.96 mark. And I still believe it's a gamble. And, they have an unverified market cap and so on. But if you look more into the project and so on, there was a time period in which this particular one, the dev team wasn't like really delivering, and then they had like a switch up, if I'm not mistaken, with their dev team. So it kind of laid dormant for a while. There wasn't much going on, and now there's quite a bit going on. So I kind of want to draw your attention to this for just a moment. If you're considering taking that gamble, again, it's not financial advice, and this is not really, I don't know, like a proper investment, you will, if you want to. But I'm looking to certain ones that are like distressed assets. Let's face it, gambles in this particular bear market. Why? Because I have so many different long-term ones. Why not? You know what I mean? It's the saying goes, put in what you can afford to lose. We'll cover this just for a brief moment, kick it back into the comments. But if anything, I mean, they do have a large following. And I also get it's Twitter. Sometimes it's like, how much of that is real, right? Like, what's her name? Was it Saweetie or somebody else? One of the modern female rappers. She has like millions of followers on Twitter, right? And then her newest album dropped, and she only sold like 20,000 copies, but you have millions of followers. The math doesn't add up, right? All right. So as of lately, right? So that's like a pinned tweet and so on. So I mean, like, even like this right here. So like before, they were killing it on, retweeting things all the time. And then now, boom, November 8th, 18th, nothing since then. Is it because they took a break because of the holidays? I don't know, whatever the case be. But before they're posting posting quite a few updates about things like what you see here. And it just kind of had like a gaming-esque feel to it. Like it kind of reminded me of like an MMORPG, but applying that aspect of an MMORPG to the likes of what? Metaverse, right? Because I mean, there's a thin red line between just the social media aspect of the metaverse and actually playing just that like an actual game. So, again, I just feel as though like this particular one is an absolute gamble. And I think if anything, the reason why the price keeps dropping and dropping is just because they're not staying proactive. And of course, as a result, if you don't have the community backing you and so on, you lose faith. And I think the price of it is definitely reflective on just that. Now, I will state this: even in a bull market, right? Some people may look at this as being particularly like garbage. Max, why would you promote garbage? I'm not exactly promoting garbage. I'm just saying, again, it's like a gamble, if you will. I'm also trying to present it to a sense that, do you know of any metaverse projects out there that are this dirt cheap, right? And I get it. Well, there's a reason, Max, because again, it's not proactive. I'm also stating, like I mentioned before, I don't look at this one as being an investment. I look at more as being a gamble. But it's really been something that has been on my close watch list for a while now. All right. So I just want to show that. All right, let's kick it back into the comments. All right, so for instance, $1 is golden. Okay, salamander, sticking out his tongue with lots of money emojis equals XRP, XDC, XLM, Quant, H bar. Yeah, absolutely. All right, man, I like run my butt off earlier. Still trying to catch my breath. All right, Tim Shea, XXI Gaming, says hello to Salamander. XDC Commander. Crypto Guy, can you give me 5 major points for XDC? I want to start dollar cost averaging into it. Don't know much. Okay, fair enough. Let me show you one of the first ones. We always show this to, I don't know, I guess you could say every newcomer, if you will, and so on. So, you know what? For the purpose of this show and so on, guys, I'll tell you what. We're going to flip the switch, if you will. We're going to turn things around. I was originally going to present XRP first and so on, but you know what? Who says I have to do it in any particular order? So, if anything, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just get right into the XDC news because, believe it or not, we were going to cover XRP and XDC. So let's go ahead and start off with just that first. Give me just a moment to pull that up. And let's see. All right. I think I almost got it here. So XDC chart comparison. And here we go. It's going to share this one first. All right. It's going to pull the right link. There we go. So let me just go ahead and highlight your comment because something's kind of blocking my. I got to fix this camera a little bit. I think it's a little bit too low on my head or my body. That's all right. So here we go. So there's this right here, and you're going to see it in just a moment. All right. There we go. So it's the comparison criteria. All right. And I think we showed this on the show the other day, but it's fine. It's worth showing again. So again, one of the top reasons for me or why they call this the ETH killer, first and foremost, let's start off with smart contracts. All right. So we understand that Ethereum, of course, is, ranked second to Bitcoin and so on. But again, it's a very outdated blockchain and so on, in which, like you see right here, Bitcoin, for instance, doesn't have any smart contracts, right? Ethereum does. And if anything, Ethereum probably still has the most amount of smart contracts of any blockchain out there because of how long it's been around, and so on. So the most popular smart contract for Ethereum is obviously the ERC20 token. There's some other smart popular ones as well. But again, look at this particular comparison. So we're talking about TPS, transactions per second. For Bitcoin, for instance, it's only 3 to 6 transactions per second. Ethereum is, about basically double, if not like 1.25 times, or that's not even the right math. You know what I mean? About 2.1 times more faster in transaction per second than Bitcoin, at 12 to 16 TPS. And of course, here's Zenfin's XDC, which is their own particular blockchain, like it says right here, third generation blockchain, 2,000 plus TPS, which means transactions per second. Now, in regards to fees, there's what they refer to as average fees. But, I want to state this. In a bull market, especially, I know some of you guys, right? Like, I might have not have known you then, but I know darn well you were looking at a lot of things like I was last bull run with some of the meme coins, especially, right? And those are ERC20 contracts on Ethereum. And those, during those particular all-time highs for Bitcoin, ETH, and so on, with all those ERC20 token contracts for the meme-related tokens, when there was high volume, there's high gas fees. So instead of seeing a gas fee of $10, like I mentioned to some of these guys, I saw personally as high as 300. Perfect example, Shibnobi, Shiba Doge during that time. And so what I would do is I was like, to heck with this. I ain't paying no $300 in gas fees. So, what I would do, my rule of thumb, and maybe some of you guys as well, stay up real late, right? 2 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, like 5 a.m. Eastern, right? Why? Because less traffic, you get the fees a lot lower. But even with that said, I would have loved to have gotten some of those things for $10 on those average fees, right? Even then it was that much higher, probably as much as like $30 or $40, but it was a lot better than paying, for instance, $300 in gas fees. But again, look at the average fee for this third generation Zenfin's XDC. You see it's at 0.0001, basically the price of a Luna Classic token. All right, transaction confirmation, that means what they refer to as finality, right? So because sometimes these transactions go through, but like for it to finalize, that's again, hence the term finality. Bitcoin is 10 to 60 minutes, right? Sometimes it could even take longer than that, right? Again, it's just a basic average. Ethereum, 10 to 20 seconds. I've seen ETH be longer than that personally. Yeah, I've seen it as long as 3 minutes before. I've heard other people say like as much as 10 minutes. I mean, it just depends. Again, it's an average. And of course, XDC is about 2 seconds. Smart contract support, yeah, Ethereum has it. XDC has it as well. But look at this, energy consumption, right? Now we understand that Ethereum, for instance, went from proof of work to proof of stake. So therefore, the only people you're going to see mining Ethereum isn't technically the current Ethereum. It's Ethereum Classic, right? Because that's still proof of work. But check out the energy consumption of the likes of Zenfin's XDC. I mean, it's significantly less, right? Fractions of terawatts per hour, right? And that's just, again, the tip of the iceberg, right? There's a reason why they refer to as XDC as quote unquote the ETH killer, because basically it is. We're going to show you tonight on our coverage, and I'm kind of glad that we're doing this right now, why XDC is that much more significant compared to the likes of ETH. And we're doing some comparing and contrasting to see where XDC started, the amount of addresses and so on, and where it's at basically today. So that should give you a quick gist just right there alone. And knowing that, how about this big whopper of them all? Tied into ISO 222, right? And that's huge because now we're talking about, like, for instance, being that category of the likes of XRP, Stellar Lumens, and so on for those cross-border payments, right? So, for me personally, I'm looking for XDC to go, and I am hopping on this particular bandwagon because this price range makes sense. I've seen multiple sources come up with this particular prediction. This is not me officially stating the prediction because I understand that some things can happen, crazy things could happen, like more wars in the world and so on. But based on some of these calculations and so on, in a real true bull run, and after the whole thing with ISO 222 has kicked in, I'm not saying in March specifically for XDC, but that time frame of March 2023, scoping it out to like maybe 2025, possibly 2026, somewhere in that area, Zenfin's XDC should be at least in the $3.30 range. Look it up for yourself if you don't believe me. There's a lot of consistency in that regard. So for somebody like the likes of Salamander, the XDC Commander, Basically, it's just that, you know, that would be like well over $3 million worth just off of that on his portfolio. All right, so let me kick it into back to the comments just here briefly, and then we'll show you more in regards to our particular coverage here. I know we have very low attendance, but I do thank you guys for being here tonight. Um, you know, I also realize, let's face it, compared to other channels, the more popular channels do the whole thing of hype. Check out this particular meme coin, and you know, because that's the thing that's trending and so on. My thing is, while that's nice to talk about some of those sometimes, and they could very well make you guys a lot of money and whatnot, my thing is I like to educate people about these particular ones and so on, because I feel as though while we can still make money off of, let's face it, some meme coins and whatnot, I feel as though the real generational wealth are specifically the ones that you see here: XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant, and so on, right? Like some of the other ones you guys are into, ALBT, Casper, you name it. Going to go a little bit further down. Of course, we'll get back into that as well. Tim Shea says ALBT. Yeah, I mean, literally, I knew that he was going to say something about that. And that's also on my short list. XXI Gaming, what's good, Tim? Everybody say hello to Tim. That's great. Salamander says XEC has a circulating supply of 12,305,000. Oh, I'm sorry, not 12 million. That's 369. So that's a billion. 12,305,000,000 roughly XDC coins. Yeah, that's not too shabby considering, especially the price of what it is and so on. You guys got to also keep in mind. I mean, I'm sure you already knows about this, yourself, Salamander. But if a token value, or in this case, a coin value, is that low in itself, I mean, there's no way that it's going to have that small of a circulating supply. I mean, if that was the case, one guy would just come in and buy them all up, right? So, Salamander being the XDC commander, you'd be like the one and only, Megalodon whale or something like that. Just buy them all up at super cheap prices. So there's reasons for it. I mean, can you imagine if Quant was like 3 cents? I mean, come on, Anyway. All right, Crypto Puppet. Thank you, Max. I believe it can reach at least $1. It's so cheap. I got 5 million and will hold. Yeah, I mean, that's actually being really conservative about that, right? So that's great, man. You got 5 million. So you and the Salamander are the XDC commanders, both of you. That's great, man. That's amazing. All right, going further down, Tim Shea Salamander. That's an interesting number. XDC XDC is an enterprise-ready hybrid blockchain technology company optimized for international trade and finance. He also states that XDC Zinfin is an enterprise-ready hybrid. Okay, I think you had some kind of typo or lag or something. XDC protocol is architected. Is that even a real word? Architected. To support smart contracts, 2000 TPS. Yep, 2-second transaction time. Yeah, basically like what we showed in the particular chart. Salamander. By the way, thank you to some people just recently joined. Thank you for joining us tonight. Salamander basically states that XDC chain Zinfin digital contract uses Zinfin delegated proof of stake, XDPOS. Yep. With it intended to create a highly scalable, secure, permission, and commercial-grade blockchain network. Good point. The partnership will see Comtech issue gold-backed tokens on the XDC blockchain for investors to hold or trade. That's a very good point he's pointing out. So, here at CTN, we've outlined before how, for instance, XRP backed by gold, XLM, stellar lemons, silver, and so on. So I also like what you just mentioned here as well. And how about this, guys? This is what I love to see. People who, aren't just invested heavily, right? Diamond handing, or, you're like a whale or so on, into a particular crypto because, you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do that and not research it. I'll tip my hat off to you, Salamander, if I had one on. And that is, you have more than researched that, and rightfully so. If you're going to be putting a lot of money into some of these things like you have, it would be expected that you have researched it, and I could totally tell that you've more than researched it. And right on. The all-time high of XTC network is a little over 19 cents on August 21st, 2021. Yeah, 2021 was a great year for crypto. Tim Shea, so 1 million would give you 192,000. Good point. Tim Shea also states he will pocket. It will rocket, I should say, past that number 2. Yep, I feel that way too. So it's ETH, Stratos. I believe so. Yeah, I think it's currently on ERC and so on. But if anything, on their particular website, they had some unique things that were listed. We could take more of a deep dive into it and so on. I'm considering doing a recording on it and so on, but I need to do a proper review for myself for have a better understanding and so on. But even on that one, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of is there a decent amount of exchanges? There is. Is there a decent amount of volume? There definitely is. Is there opportunity there? There is. So, but again, I want to take more of a deep dive into it and so on because there is reason. There's not just like no reason at all consistently, right? Don't get me wrong. There is, as you guys know, cryptos that will pump for no reason, like it just sits dormant for like a year and just out of nowhere pumps. But I think USTC before that one major pump when it was well below the penny, remember it went up to like 7 cents. That was like nobody could explain it at the time. Now everybody can explain it now because of the whole thing with the wormhole and so on, right? But again, there's certain ones that's going to happen. And if anything, with Stratos, I just want to find out a little bit more information. Again, a proper deep dive, and go from there. Tim Shea, did we figure out why it pumped? Others said, yeah, not yet, but it did pump more than a few times, and that was the key thing. I want to again take more of that deep dive and find out why that is. Because if it was something that made sense, and this is something that's flying under the radar, then that's huge. Let's face it. All right. I meant to highlight this earlier, but thank you so much. Salamander XDC Commander, $4 donation of the super chat. Crypto God, he says, Salamander holds 1,030,000 XDC, believes. I believe you. That's awesome. That is really, really impressive. All right, Brittany, happy Saturday. Thanks for joining us, Brittany. Hopefully you're still having a good Thanksgiving. I think you are having a good Thanksgiving weekend and so on, but thank you for joining us here tonight. Of course, Tim Shea saying hello to you. Bitcoin Mania is in the house. He says, when USDT goes down and what will happen after they get hit? Oh, my God. I would state this. Guys, you know it yourself for the most part, right? Tether collapses. It's just, we talk about the whole thing of crypto winter. It's beyond apocalypse at that point. It'll be crypto nuclear holocaust, crypto, oh my God, crypto nuclear, nuclear fallout winter. I don't know what you call it. Like, it's going to be horrible. I mean, like, man, that would affect everything. That would be the worst. All these predictions of 11K be far lower than that. I mean, Bitcoin, I think would tank down to 9K. Ethereum, maybe what, $500? Not even that. I mean, it would just be the ultimate doom and gloom. But if anything, it could be just that much more of the ultimate buying opportunities. Because, I mean, I just don't believe that we're going to be in crypto apocalypse or crypto winter forever. Even based on history, the longest we ever had, I believe, of a crypto winter or bear market was 18 straight months. I don't know, kind of looking at the data and so on, and I'm saying to myself, I think we're gonna get out of this. But I understand everybody's different point of view and so on. I've seen some crazy things. Haven't verified it yet. Have you guys seen that whole thing about CZ? People are basically flooding him now, stating that secretly behind the scenes that he's worse than Sam Bankman-Fried. Are you kidding me? That's another story. You want to talk about the doom and gloom with USDT Tether, right? Don't get me wrong. They pulled some crap in the past so that we know about, right? Circle's got way better reputation. I get that. But if you combine with what you're saying, Bitcoin Mania, and if this whole thing with CZ ends up being true, I mean, Binance in itself is the world's largest centralized exchange. So if he did something worse than SBF, oh my God. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would still believe in the innovative, companies of like Ripple and so on, but it'd be a massive, massive blow to crypto, to a sense in which especially the newcomers, right? People who, put a bunch, like, let's say like half their life savings, their whole life savings, the crypto and stuff, they would literally never come back. And I think if anything, that put a big dent into the quote unquote general adoption of crypto. And it would be too much focus, I guess you could say, still on, the financial sector side of things. Would it be like a great opportunity for people like us and someone who've been in crypto for a while, who still recognize, like, okay, even that much opportunity? Yeah, absolutely. But if anything, I'm not rooting, just like I was mentioning to Tim Shea on a direct message one time. It's kind of like Rich of Common Sense Crypto. He mentioned the whole thing with what happened with FTX. It's like with FTX, it's like, why the heck are people rooting for another thing like that to happen? These are people's livelihoods, their nest eggs and so on. You're going to root for people to lose all that? Hell no. Have a soul. But not saying you specifically, but you know what I'm saying. Thanks for joining us here tonight, Bitcoin Man. Yeah, there's a lot of talk of doom and gloom, man. I mean, it's just not even with crypto, just in general, right? We live in very crazy times. All right, Tim Shea, hey, Bitcoin Mania, Crypto Puppet, will Quant go on $100? I wouldn't doubt it. I saw one guy on one of the recent recorded videos that we put out. By the way, check out the last recorded video. It's a pretty long, in-depth one. I wasn't trying to make it so long, but I'm trying to cover key things from Cybos 2022 and trying to go more into detail with that. On that last particular one, I was kind of tired too. So, I mean, I wasn't as sharp as I normally am, but I did try to get it done and so on. So shout out to whoever watched it from beginning end. You're probably like, dang, Max is kind of getting tired of that one. But yeah, I was. But nonetheless, I did get the point across and so on. But as far as Quant going $100, I wouldn't doubt if it did, to be honest. And if it did, for me, that's like, okay, that's like 1.5 Quant basically. Because I mean, I normally try to stick in that like roughly 120 to 150 range, if you will. So it's not quite 1.5. But I mean, if it was $100 or under, I guess it could be, considering like I have spent as much as like 150 on Quant. So yeah, I guess that's the right way of looking at it. That's like 1.5 Quant if it did. But again, I saw a guy saying that, he sees $80 coming soon, and if that could happen as well. Let's face it, we live in crazy times when it comes to all this. But let's face it, when the market even tanks, Quant a lot of times goes against the market, and if anything, that really shows the power of what they have going on, with everything they got going on. All right, Tim Shea, Crypto Puppet strong. Maybe on that, I am buying it if it does. Yeah, same here. That's the way I personally look at it. I mean, my goal is 10 Quant. I'm not quite there yet, but I mean, I'll probably get there. I don't know, probably sooner than I hope, maybe by the end of the year. And if not, that's okay. I can live with that. But that's my goal. And then I'm going to set a new goal for 20 Quant. But some of you guys, I mean, you guys, shoot, man, you guys know who you are. You already have over 100 Quant. And it's just like, man, that's massive. Massive. All right. Crypto Puppet, I'm trying my best to buy lots of coins and not just the same ones. That's a good idea. Just, I'm not going to hop on the bandwagon and say, diversify your portfolio. It sounds good on paper, but even I myself, I have to admit, like, if I would have put like a lot more focus on some of the ones I diamond handed in 2021, I think if anything, even in this bear market, I would still be in the green. Like, for instance, when I bought back into Dogecoin at real low levels, I know Dogecoin, right? Oh, Max, you're so anti-meme. I'm not anti-meme. I'm anti non-traditional memes, like, the Coke and Pepsis, if you will, the Doges, the Shiba Inus. If it ain't the originals, I'm not really into it. But if anything, I gotta admit, like, I should have probably put more emphasis into, for instance, maybe buying like instead of like another billion of Shiba Inu, I probably should have bought like 2 or 3 billion, right? Like really diamond handed the heck out of it and so on, because it was my top performer last year. And I think if anything, there's a lot of those type of ones, but again, it's part of your crypto journey. You never are going to understand that until you experience it. So there is that part of it, right? And then, another thing I've been considering about doing is making a proper video on like crypto end game, if you will, exit plan, like a proper exit plan. Like, we always talk about all these things, but it's just like, in reality, we have to have a proper exit plan and what that entails and what that consists of. And, you know, does that mean it's everything? Like you cash out on everything? My answer is no. You know, and we'll get more into that in a second. I know I need to get through more of the comments and so on because we're approaching 50 minutes. Let me go look further down. Did they Luna? Hold on. They did Luna. They did FTT. Next, some say is USDT. That's a good point. All right, going further down. Thanks for getting the algorithm going, Salamander, the XDC commander. Let's see here. It's bad for all crypto when exchanges go down. It is. It really, really is. Whether people like centralized exchanges or not, and, you know, you meet people who are like, you know, to hell with centralized exchanges. It's all about decentralized ones, or it's not even about that. It's just strictly 100% cold storage or bust. But at the end of the day, I mean, we still need centralized exchanges, you know, whether people are formed and so on. It is part of the overall bigger picture. Tim Shea, you are definitely not anti-meme. Well, thank you. I've been told that on Twitter. I've gotten DMs, just joking. People would send me DMs. They know who they are. I'm not gonna mention names. They're like, Max, you're the most anti-meme guy I've ever knew. I'm like, really? I'm like, you know, I hold a lot of that stuff. They're like, you know, they just throw out the laughing emoji. They're like, you are anti-meme. All you is ISO or bust with you, Max. I'm like, well, kinda, but anyway, I can see both sides of the argument. Crypto Puppet, Max, a bear hibernates in the winter, but the winter does not last forever. True. We are all early and it will pay off soon, guys. It absolutely will. Let's get back into our XDC coverage. And you know what? I love that you guys are here tonight, even if we only have 11 people here. 11 people or 110 or 1100. I love talking about crypto. I'll just be honest. I'll be talking about crypto whether I'm doing a show or not. I talk about crypto literally every day. Doesn't matter who, you know, somebody can call me on the phone. Hey, man, been a while since I talked to you. I probably would talk about crypto and so on. You know, when I get together with some of my very close friends and some whatnot, somehow crypto even gets mentioned, you know, even at those particular get-togethers and parties and so on. And sometimes I kind of apologize to them because I'm like, you guys probably don't want to hear about this, you know what I mean? But I love to talk about crypto, and that's, you know, I wouldn't trade this for anything because it's something I'm passionate about because of how it's affected me directly and where I see it going in my life being anywhere from, I don't know, say about a year to 6-year outlook and so on. I'm going to have a way different life. And I know for a lot of you guys, you're going to have a way different life for, you know, for yourselves. I've seen some of you guys like Tim Shea. Shout out to you, man. I'm like, you're killing it with like just you watch different crypto shows. Like, think about this. Like, there's nothing wrong necessarily with watching just regular TV and whatnot. But if you're like me and like some of you guys, you're interested in crypto. You research the crypto and so on because you feel as though there's something very addictive about when you made money, especially in that last bull market and so on. And if anything, you recognize these particular opportunities and you seize just that, the opportunity. All right, let's kick it into some more of the XDC coverage. And hopefully the people that are watching earlier who wanted me to do more of the deeper dive, if you will, on XDC will be here for that. If not, it's kind of okay because it's still coverage in regards to XDC. So, for instance, there is this, and we'll get more into XRP later. So, this is recent XDC coverage. If you remember that one night we were going for quite a while, I said, you know, stay tuned for the next episode or whatever of CTN. We're going to cover XDC. Well, here's some of it. All right. So, again, this is from the 22nd. It's still pretty fresh. Excuse me. Dubai's DMCC digitizes gold trading in partnership with Comtech Gold. Listen to this. Comtech Gold tokens will be created on the ZenFin protocol blockchain network based on the deposit of physical gold bars, bullion, right, located in DMCC approved vaults. Pretty big. There's more on this particular one. It's not too long of an article, but it states Dubai's DMCC, of course, has partnered with Comtech Gold to digitize the trading of gold by tokenizing the precious metal backed by physical gold bars registered on DMCC TradeFlow. And another thing I want to point out is, you know, on our recent quant coverage, for instance, I did do a deep dive basically showing the significance of just that, the tokenization of digitalized assets and the significance behind that. Again, a lot of these ones that are ISO 222 focus are doing just that, whether it's quant, XRP, but especially like with what you're seeing right here in this particular article with Zinfin's XDC. So DMCC TradeFlow launched, of course, in 2012, and it's basically an online platform for registering the ownership of commodities stored in the United Arab Emirates facilities. It provides a range of online services specifically designed to facilitate collateral financing, jewelry financing, and providing Islamic finance solutions. Whether you're for, that particular thing and so on, you got to realize that this is that particular area, and that is the dominant religion. And if anything, when it comes to the likes of the United Arab Emirates, there's a tremendous amount of finance that flows in and out. The money, right? Again, follow the money. And this is like a centralized hub, if you will, when you're especially talking about Dubai. And let's face it, they're very, very pro crypto there and so on. One of the crypto capitals of the world, along with Singapore. It just makes sense. So it says Comtech Gold Token CGO will be created on the Zinfin Protocol XDC blockchain network based on the deposit of physical gold bars. Again, I'm literally thinking like physical gold bullion, right? Located in DMCC approved vaults, according to a report published by the Dubai Media Office. Now, before we get further into this, I'm literally thinking of kind of like looking at like the concept of the Federal Reserve, right? You have the Federal Reserve, various different countries and so on. Especially if you've ever seen Die Hard 3, aka Die Hard of the Vengeance. Hans Gruber's brother, basically, him and his crew robbed the Federal Reserve, and you see different countries, stacks of gold, right? But the key thing I want to point out here is I'm literally thinking like, man, this is massive for XDC, because if anything, it's kind of like a Federal Reserve to a sense, but in the form of what you see here with gold and how it's tied into crypto with, for instance, with XDC. I think it's massive. And if anything, this is big news and a big positive catalyst for XDC moving forward. A little bit more in regards to this. It says each gold bar will be backed by a trade flow warrant, meaning that the increased ease of trading a tokenized asset is combined with the additional security, transparency, and real asset allocation provided by the trade flow warrant. With each token representing 1 gram of gold, investors and traders will be able to buy as little as 1 gram, democratizing the asset class by making it more accessible. That's amazing. And if anything, this is why we mentioned here at CTN since literally months ago, when it comes to your ISOs, right? Like some people, might have XDC in your top 4, top 5, whatever the case be, right? Let's face it, maybe top 3. But XDC consistently, in my opinion, is one of the most undervalued of the bunch. Really, really is undervalued. There's a little bit more in regards to this. You can click on it right there. Another thing I want to point out is this right here. So it says the tokens specifically are Sharia compliant and fully backed by physical gold in the form of 1 kilogram gold bars of 999.9 purity from globally renowned brands. I mean, I get the whole debate of, I'm trying to make things like, politics and religion, when it comes to Sharia law, like that's a whole rabbit hole to go down in that regard. But if anything, here's my take, okay? Put that aside for now. And if anything, focus on that it's actually good that it's compliant, especially in this area of the world. Because if anything, there's not going to be any big issues, right? Any big red flags because of this compliancy. So that part is good. So in regards to where it says in line with international best practices for transparency, again, kind of like what I was mentioning, in the precious metal sector, each bar will feature a unique ID number and certificates direct from the refiners. I mean, the level of authenticity here is huge, right? So it says Ahmed bin Sulayem, executive chairman and CEO of DMCC, said, quote, recent market events have highlighted the need for greater transparency in crypto tokens backed by underlying real-world assets. Our partnership with Comtech Gold to enable the trade of tokenized gold bullion, remember I mentioned that earlier, backed by DMCC trade flow warrants, addresses this need head on. DMCC firmly believes that blockchain solutions will drive long-term growth in global trade across industries and asset classes. And this latest announcement is, of course, another testament to this core belief. One last statement before we wrap up this particular article. De Souza, who's the CEO at Comtech Gold, said this particular quote: "A partnership with DMCC is an exciting moment for us as we continue to grow with 122 kilograms of gold already tokenized." My God. Trade flow warrants add the security, control, and transparency to the gold tokens necessary to build investor trust and confidence. This, along with the Sharia certification, makes Comtech Gold tokens, CGO, an ideal and robust product developed on blockchain technology for regional and international investors. Of course, we can read more about this at the bottom here. One of the main key takeaways I want to just basically mention is this. So I like the idea of what you're seeing here with this in particular, right? It's a huge thing for the likes of XDC. On top of that, we're always tracking, for instance, what's going on in the financial sectors of the world, following where the money's going. For instance, like, where it's basically like with XRP, XLM, and so on. Again, the banks upgrading their systems and so on. But this right here in itself is pretty massive. On top of that, because it's just, again, it gives you another example of where not just where the money is going, but where the physically backed gold, if you will, is being deposited and held, and have it in, for instance, in Dubai, one of crypto's capitals of the world, if you will. I think, if anything, shows that much more significance to what XDC is all about. And again, we realize it's let's face it, it's the e-killer. It's a very vast ecosystem and so on. But I always like to hear the stories, especially like ones like this, where you literally see it talk about, for instance, physical gold or the likes of XRP when it comes to, transferring trillions of dollars cross-borders and cross-border payments, if you will. To me, this is where, when a bull market happens, we get to these crazy market caps, right? Huge things like this. All right, let's kick it back into the comments. And of course, we'll get more back into some of our XDC coverage, as well as our XRP here in a moment. And let's see here. We got Tim Shea. Does anyone use the Zinfin wallet? I do not, but I would like to know if anybody has used it as well, and what's your experience with using it. Tim Shea, I downloaded one but haven't used it yet. Yeah, good point. Max P's in the house. Good to see you, Max. I use Zinfin wallet to hold my XTC. It's easy to use. Oh, good point. All right. Yeah, no problems whatsoever. There was no hiccups, just real piece of cake, huh? All right, Tim Shea, Max P, I'm planning to do that. Just curious if anyone else used it. Yeah, that's a good point. Crypto Puppet, did you get a chance to look into Marlin Pond? Yes, I did. Yes. Now, but it can reach a price of 73 cents to 91 cents in a few years. Maybe goodbye now. Well, the whole thing with Marlin Pond, I actually was there's a guy who, I don't know if he even watches the show anymore, but his name is Larry would refer to him as Fedor. And I'm sure maybe some of you guys do remember him. He actually posted on one of the Metopolis videos I did, the last one I did when I was on just MaximusCrypto, because he mentioned that the main guy behind Zilliqa basically created Marlin Pond. And that was significant to me because I thought, okay, where are we going with this? One thing that didn't make too much sense to me is why on the particular contract they developed it on, for instance, an ERC20 token, right? I don't know if it's because it's just, maybe it was just a lot cheaper just to do that particular contract. I don't know the case, but you would think that if a guy is from Zilliqa, why don't we just build it on Zilliqa's blockchain? Zilliqa has their own blockchain. If anything, the fees would be significantly less. I don't really have the answer on that particular one, but what was significant, some of the things that you're mentioning and so on, a lot of people felt as though that it was a real sleeper, a gem, and so on. And I did look at the particular graph, and I did see where it did do pretty well. And if anything, like right now, like I could just pull it up just here briefly. I want to show this to you guys. So, they did have some things I want to pull up. Hold on. So I have it on my watch list. It's just called Pond as far as a ticker symbol. Here it is, Marlin Pond. Um, it's that ERC20 token. I guess they do have a CERTIC audit. They're sitting at 366. They do have a verified market cap of 42 million. But here it basically is on the all-time, if you will. So when it came straight to CMC, it was about roughly 26 cents. Of course, it dropped instantly at the beginning of 2021, all the way down to like about 2.5 cents roughly. And then, of course, you had kind of a nice little run up on it in February to 17 cents. Was back into, 26 cents by April. Last bull run, it was as high as, for instance, 13.5 cents. But if anything, this is the cheapest, I guess you could say, it's ever been, even though it's slightly up today. And what I want to also point out is, yeah, we're not that far away from the bottom of what it was. So the bottom for this was roughly around 6 cents, or not 6 cents, I'm sorry, 0.006, and it's at 84. So I mean, it's just like, 2 ticks up from that. Even if a person did do proper research on this, right? Let's just face it. I mean, it's kind of like what you're willing to, what you could afford to lose, if you will. I did go to the Marlin Pond site. I'll just show that. So it says accelerating decentralized communications, an open protocol that provides high performance programmable network infrastructure for DeFi and Web3. And there's other ones that make, let's face it, these particular statements. And my thing was, well, what makes this, particularly unique compared to other ones that have also mentioned this? Because this is not the only one that makes that particular statement. And that's, of course, when I said, all right, that's where I need to do a deep dive. So I didn't have a chance to, of course, read all the white paper, see what's up with the community. I mean, they have a lot of stuff going on Telegram. They have Discord. They even have a Twitter. Let me go to that for a second. So they have a decent following on that. And then this is my first time actually on their Twitter. So, I mean, they posted on the 24th. It was only like, a couple days ago. So, I mean, at least there's that. It says, excited to be back and looking forward to meeting the new wave of talent. It's building time. Okay. Meet our newest partner for ETH India. They're accelerating decentralized communication, providing a high-performance programmable network infrastructure for DeFi and Web3. Use Marlin to build secure and scalable decentralized apps to ETH India. Again, the concept of all this sounds great. It really does, right? Just on the surface. But my thing is, did you have a falling out? I mean, I should say falling out. If you're one of the original guys, I think if I'm thinking who it is, it doesn't make sense that they just want to build this off of Zilliqa's ecosystem, right? To me, that would make more sense. So it's either, if it's not who I'm thinking it is, it's a different guy, then he must have had some kind of falling out with Zilliqa or whatever, and then he decided to just, for budget reasons, I guess, to make an ERC20 token and do it this route. Is there still opportunity there? Of course. I'm not necessarily bashing on Ethereum or anything like that. I mean, we all understand the whole concept of gas fees and how much slower it is and so on. Zilliqa's a pretty decent, fast, blockchain. Don't get me wrong, but again, guys, it's just more of a deep dive, and there's so many different ones out there and so on. But I do think there's obviously potential here. And, for instance, for Fedor to bring it to my attention in a particular Metopolis video, I thought that was something else, to say the least. But let me bring this back up. So, if you're wondering where to get this, if you want to do more of your own research into Marlin Pond, it's on quite a few different exchanges. I know the whole thing about, centralized exchanges. Again, I mean, do the whole rich common sense crypto approach. I mean, he only uses MEXC, but like as soon as he gets something off of MEXC, he immediately puts it over to, I think, Ledger, he said, or some other cold storage. But yeah, you can get off of Binance, KuCoin, Coinbase. Heck, if you just want to, swap your ETH, you get off it. Uniswap, right? It's on Kraken. Heck, Sushi Swap, Huobi. I mean, I'm not a fan of Gate.io, but I mean, if you're outside the United States, I guess it's not bad. Yeah, there's quite a few different, exchanges. I mean, that's a pretty big list. Oh wow, crypto.com. I forgot about that. It is on crypto.com. I think Fedor mentioned that. Anyway, that's what's going on with Marlin Pond. And let's see. Let's go to the next con. Crypto Puppet. And my last question for the night, thoughts on Chainlink. We basically covered what was happening with Chainlink a while back. There was a big positive catalyst, I believe, with what they had connected with the whole thing of not ISO 2022, but something in which I don't know if it was R3 Corda, but there was some big thing we did cover at the time, and that was the last major thing I saw. So for me personally, Chainlink is still on my short list. I am considering it, but it hasn't moved from my short list to, I mean, I should say it hasn't moved to my short list, right? It's just on my regular watch list. But that was the last big thing, and it was a big thing at the time. Anybody here remember that when we did that particular coverage? There's just so many different ones. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember something that I haven't covered in a while. But yeah, you're welcome for the info. No problem. Daniel Gate, and have a great weekend or great night, great show. Thank you. I'm not done wrapping it up yet, but I understand people got to go. I do want to cover some more in regards to XDC. And let me show you guys that here now. So we showed that. Hold on. Let me get out of the Marlin stuff. Of course, we covered that. Oh, yeah. It was this right here. So this is a little bit more in regards to our whole thing with XDC. Some really good stats. All right. So who it was that was asking about XDC earlier, hopefully you're still here, says you want to see something neat. January 3rd, we had 1,000 contracts on the XDC network. Again, January 3rd of 2022. Okay. Today we have 11,776. That is a huge, that's over 11x, almost a 12x. We did more than a 10x. Well, yeah, math, in less than a year. This is a huge milestone. This was posted on the 25th, which I believe was yesterday. And like you see right here, it says people want to see the growth of XDC. Well, here we are, right? Congratulations on this huge milestone. Zenfin now has 1,000 contracts on its network. 1,000. This is more building that case of, XDC is the ETH killer. It's not currently speaking as far as having more smart contracts. Don't get me wrong, but it's like the same concept of how we compare and contrast. For instance, Bitcoin with the likes of Quant, right? I know I made statements of, Ethereum. Quant is the Bitcoin of utility. I did see one guy basically in the comments of that one recorded video saying, no, dude, it's not. There's just Bitcoin there. All the rest out there are garbage. And of course, people, didn't agree with them. We could respectfully agree to disagree. But again, this also deserves that comparing and contrasting. For the same reasons why we do, for instance, Quant and Bitcoin. Because again, if you look at the first 4 years of Bitcoin compared to the first 4 years of the likes of Quant blows it out of the water already, right? And I think this is another good comparison, because if anything, you're realizing what's going on with XDC. Again, the comparing and contrasting. If you compare where XDC is now and how long it's taken to do that compared to the likes of ETH, again, I think it deserves that title of being the ETH killer. Eventually speaking, if they keep this up, right, which they definitely are, they definitely will be the quote unquote ETH killer. And I understand the whole debates of, other people saying, no, Max, the real ETH killer is Cardano, right? There's other ones that could technically take that title, but if you look at specifically what XDC's got going on, combine that with ISO, yeah, I'm with it all the way with making that statement of the true ETH killer. But anyway, like it mentions, congratulations on this huge milestone. Zenfin now has 1,000 contracts on its network to 100 from less than 2 days ago. Think about that. I mean, might not be a fair comparison, right? When you compare like Luna Classic, what they're trying to build up with their ecosystem and so on, just even getting like 50 or 70 and so on. But come on, man, XDC already did this up 100 in 2 days. They're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. And I, of course, wanted to share that with you guys. Some of those other stats and so on. Of course, this hasn't been updated since obviously yesterday and so on. But it's pretty massive. I mean, like, what Salamander pointed out and so on, like the circulating supply, you see 12,305,000,000 and so on. Active addresses 845,241 on the contracts you see right there. And everything they've done on the block, validators, right? 108, 217, and just on and on and on. So, of course, I wanted to show that to you guys as well. And I think that might be it as far as the XDC coverage. We still have some XRP for you guys. And if anything, we're going to get into that. And Z says, bro, I'm here all night with you. Well, thanks, Mr. Pruden, Mr. Wall. Thanks for joining us here tonight. And Tim Shea says, hey, Z, KDA, what, Cadena? Yeah, I'm rooting for XDC. I am too. I am totally. Anyway, let's go further down. Mr. Prudent says, if you want to dig into something real fast, type in this live. docs.terra.money, hit search. I try to figure out how to make things on the Terra blockchain. Okay. Well, I'm going to get into some XRP thing and whatnot, but you guys are more than welcome to look into that yourself. Crypto Puppet says XDC so cheap, 2 cents. Yeah, in the 2-cent range. Yeah, it's very, very undervalued. Z saying was up to 10. Yes, Crypto Puppet definitely on sale. Sending my marble for tomorrow. Oh, for 2-bit show? That sounds good. ETH fees are ridiculous. All right. Yeah, they are totally ridiculous. All right, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. I'm going to show you guys some of our info. Oh, I see April Cornwell's in the house. She's giving me some flowers. Well, thank you, April. Hopefully you and Mike and the rest of the Cornwell clan had a great Thanksgiving weekend so far. And it's not over with yet. You still got your Sunday, hopefully. Hopefully you don't have to, I don't know. Hopefully you're not the type of person in which, and maybe you are. It's okay. Like you procrastinated. You're like all the, the cleaning and all that stuff. You just put it off to the last minute, and the Sunday's your cleanup day. But if it is what it is. And hopefully, since you have kids and stuff, hopefully they're helping mom out with that, right? Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the flowers, April. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and, of course, show you guys our coverage. Well, I guess Mike Cornwell's in the house too. Well, good to see you too, Mike. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving weekend. You do have Marlin Pond. All right. Well, how about this? Okay. Yeah, you just took a chance on it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's that. I think a lot of people are just taking a chance on it and so on. But was there any other reason that, you basically said yourself, like, man, Marlin Pond, like, it's more than just taking a chance. Max P says, great show, Max. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, Max. Mike, big surprise. Yeah. All right. Let me get into this for real. This time I am. So there's this with XRP, and actually it's not. It's XDC. I forgot to show you guys this particular. I was wondering what happened to this particular one. So I will show you this. My bad. This was another thing I wanted to show you in regards to XDC. I just had that in the wrong order for whatever reason. But yeah, check this out. It says, what is XDC 2.0? And again, shout out to whoever was asking me about XDC earlier. If anything, this will give you kind of a quick little summary because this is the 2.0. And I want to show you this. It says the next generation of XDC is almost here. Are you ready? And it states 2.0. Watch, of course, this protocol lead, Dr. Fisher Yu, give the community an update on XDC 2.0 in the attached video. So let's take a moment to basically do just that. Let me just double check my settings to see if you guys can see it. Yep, you can. And I'm going to play it. We'll be back in about roughly a minute. Here we go.
What is XDC 2.0? XDC 2.0 is the next generation consensus engine for the XDC network. This upgrade will make XDC one of the most secure and efficient blockchain in the world. This upgrade will bring in critical features, including state-of-the-art Byzantine fault-tolerant security, a super fast transaction and block finalization time of only 3 blocks, and a forensic monitoring system that can detect and ID attackers in real time. Our team has been building and testing the new consensus engine for 12 months already. We are happy to share with you now what is XDC.
All right, it's great to get these type of updates, especially when they're quick, precise, and to the point. And to have it come from Dr. Fisher Yu himself, who is the XDC Network Protocol lead, it's really nice seeing this because if anything, XDC needs to have more of a face and see some of this, especially with the recent updates with their XDC official community and so on. I think the momentum is getting there now. Like they're with the community, and again, seeing their particular protocol lead and so on. And of course, some of the other positive news with what is going on with gold and the whole thing with the vault in Dubai. XDC is again very undervalued, and I guess that's a good thing because if anything, we could all basically load up on it, especially at these particular prices. We'll be glad that we did. All right. Let me go ahead and show you guys the rest of our coverage. It is really officially now going to be XRP. And shout out to Crypto Lulu. He is one of my favorite people to cover or show his coverage, I should say. Very intelligent man. He kills it with his deep dives into XRP and his investigative reporting, if you will. He is literally like a private investigator for XRP, if you will. How he monitors, I saw that this particular bank, has this maintenance going on, this particular one, and he's just really doing a really good job. He has a huge following on YouTube. I would definitely consider him a quote unquote top influencer, if you will. His numbers on, for instance, Twitter are not even close to what he has on YouTube. He has a way bigger following on YouTube, but nonetheless, listen to this. Staking will be possible. Yeah, here we are all talking about the whole thing with SEC case and all these other positive things, right? Cross-border payments and everything that XRP basically brings to the table, right? Ton of things, especially like a recent coverage of, for instance, with what they're doing, the tokenization of literally real estate, right? That was one of the latest things. But listen to this. It's worthy to mention the thing with staking. So staking will be possible. This one's about 53 seconds. We have more coverage from him, but listen to this particular one. And just to double check, hopefully I do have it shared on the right one. I don't think I do. So let me just double check. And yeah, I definitely do now. All right. So here we go. And I'll be back in about a minute.
With the court case that is in the way here, it is truly limiting the innovation of these companies that want to offer crypto staking or borrowing and lending. All of this world within cryptocurrency finance is being blocked from this court case. So it is fully within my expectation that XRP, XLM, and all those other tokens that we're interested in will be listed as available to custody with standard custody. And let me make that even more clear. David Schwartz, who was one of the co-founders of Ripple, also co-founded Polysign, which owns standard custody. Standard custody and Polysign share the same CEO. Okay, there is no way, there is 0% chance that standard custody and Polysign won't be listing XRP as available to custody. There's no chance. Okay, that's coming with regulatory clarity. With the court case that is in the way here.
So, I mean, again, great valid points he brings up, right? Especially the whole thing that he mentioned with David Schwartz and so on. I am on board with that. I'm like, there's just no way. I mean, there's things that make sense and things that don't. And like what he pointed out totally makes sense. All right, a little bit more in regards to this. And of course, we'll kick it back to comments after this particular next one. And of course, I just want to share this with you. I know there's not a lot of people here, but that's all right. This one's good, and you may see this on a particular recording that I'm going to do. So let's see. Yeah. This one is really something. So if you just came to the show, You don't want to miss this particular one. It says how XRP moons supernaturally. So if you just came, well, hats off to you, because this is just amazing how he basically outlines this. And if anything, I might go ahead and share this with the record, because this is a key thing that definitely needs to get brought up, and especially with the way that Crypto Lulu basically outlines this. Minute 22 seconds, and then we'll be right back.
If we're talking about smart contracts and NFTs, we're likely talking about XDC linking through an interledger protocol. There are ways to connect the interoperability of all of this, connect XDC's network with all of those smart contracts with a certain amount of value that actually needs to be settled via that interoperability using a settlement token that is liquidity based. Because of course, where's the liquidity going to come from especially when you're talking about real world money? And then the real world money to debt value or ratio is about 10-1, meaning there's 10 times more debt than there is actual money, simply because of this layering system where you can collateralize debt, as I showed you in those layers. And remember, all of the value of all of the contracts has to be on the network itself. And if we're settling all of those funds and settling all of those agreements with basically 10x leverage, is basically what it is, and you're having to settle payments around the world, sounds like something that would increase the price, right? The debt being tokenized and added to a network is probably the single most influential part of a supernatural price increase for XRP. And so now I've understood how debt is tokenized. I say this all the time because I'm constantly learning, but mind was blown.
This guy, in my opinion, is one of the best when it comes to XRP coverage and some of these other ones. If you love our show, I'll give him my official endorsement. Follow Crypto Lulu. This guy has great content consistently, and his passion that he brings to the table, you know, I got to tip my hat off to him. I also want to tip my hat off to another guy. Mike Cornwell pointed this out many months ago, talking about how we get to these crazy market caps that nobody necessarily, like, just say nobody, that a lot of people don't believe in. He basically mentioned some of this, right? So it's when we take on this debt. Literally, you saw Crypto Lulu basically outline the same type of concept, but, you know, worded it different to make us, you know, have a bigger perspective or broader perspective of just that. But yeah, this is how this basically moves supernaturally, like he mentions. And if anything, it gave me pause to concern. All right. And what I mean by that is this, you know, I'm basically looking at it from the perspective of, you know, the United States is going to be the last to show up to the big show, like we mentioned, by 2025. Right. Well, last I checked, the United States is probably one of the top countries that is in just that, in a ton of debt. Not even, I shouldn't even say a ton, because a ton technically is a small number compared to the likes of multi-trillions. I'm just going to type it in right now. United States debt. How much debt are we currently in? So let's see here. It states basically on the U.S. national debt clock, if you want to look this up, we should be 41 trillion in debt by 2026. But what are we currently, right? What is the current debt of the United States? All right. Let me see. 31 trillion currently. So if we are basically, right, taking on, if XRP, if you will, right, is going to be taking on this particular tokenized debt, then that could kind of make sense that the United States will kind of want to maybe put that off. And I'm not trying to make this a big conspiracy theory or anything, but some things just kind of add up and some things just kind of don't. And if anything, with that amount of debt and the United States not being backed by gold as far as our US dollar, you know, like some of the things we outlined here before, Bitcoin is not a hedge against inflation. Bitcoin, it was a hedge against money printing. You take that concept in itself, and then you look at the whole concept of our US dollar since 1971, when Nixon took us off of the gold standard. basically we just keep printing and printing money, but now it's not backed by anything. Am I too far off? Do you get where I'm coming from? I think you do. All right. Let's get a little bit more further into some of the comments. I do see, for instance, a super chat came in, and I do appreciate that. Salamander, the XDC commander, states, "Thanks, Max, for what you do. I really do appreciate you stating that. It makes it all worthwhile and so on. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Thank you for also what you do. Just you being here and someone being supportive does mean a lot. It really, really does. So I do appreciate you and everybody else. Thanks again for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Crypto McDizzle, aka Mike Cornwell, says, "L, the price it's been up to in the past is the only reason I got some." LOL. Yeah, it's just at that particular price. I don't know. I might just dive into it. I mean, because at this point, it's kind of like, it's not like I'm looking to put like $1,000 into it and so on. And I did do the math on it. I even said to myself, like if I did put 1,000 and where it could go based off of the past, it added up to like a 10x. But then I was thinking, like, I rather just, if I'm realistically going to put 1,000 into anything, it'll be into the ISOs. But 100, maybe I do 100, maybe I do 50. I don't know. All right, Tim Shea, seems like they are still active, I should say. So you never know. Okay. Adewale Sariki, I am scared of buying at the wrong time. When is the bottom? Well, if anything, don't be too scared, because here's the thing. It's not financial advice or anything like that. If you look at the market where we were and where we're at right now, that in itself, technically speaking, I mean, yeah, you might not necessarily be at rock bottom, but I mean, a lot of times people don't catch bottom on everything, my friend. Here's what the main key takeaway I want to mention. I'm glad you're here tonight. All right. You cannot look at all crypto as I want to catch bottom on every single one, because if you do, a lot of times you're not going to catch it. And here's a particular example I want you to basically have. For me personally, I like having things I can track. So, I know some of you guys use different apps and so on. Me personally, I use, for instance, CMC. You guys know that, right? I have a watch list, I have a portfolio and so on. I keep track of all that stuff. But another thing I keep track of is little things. Here's a couple of good examples. I want you guys to, if anything, practice it for yourself. So depending on how new you are to crypto, whatever the case be, start off with maybe like, say, 10, right? 10 solid ones that you're like, you know what, I've been following these for a while. Find out what has been the consistent, what is referred to support levels for these particular cryptos. Here's two particular examples that I'm going to throw at you. So VET is a perfect example. All right. So VET, for the longest time, I'm going to show you guys right here, had a support level of, I believe it was about 2.5 cents. And they've broken that support. But you got to keep in mind, here, I'm going to pull it up here in just a moment. VET. They have kept this support level for like eons, if you will. All right. So here's the example right here. VET. All right. It has broken support of that, basically the 2 cent level, and has done it multiple times within the last couple of weeks, especially. Right. And I understand the whole thing with the SBF situation. Right. But you also got to keep in mind, this didn't happen monumentally when the whole thing happened with the collapse of UST. All right. Let me show you what's going on with this. So for the longest time, post, for instance, where are we at? I would say from last bull market to present. So let me see some. All right. So for the longest time, we were sitting, I think, pretty much all summer long. Yeah. Yep. This right here, I wish I could zoom in. Maybe I can zoom in a little more. Let me try to blow this up just a little bit more. To like 150. All right. Hold on a second. So hopefully you guys can see this. Yeah. All right. So right around this area is about 2.3 cents, so on. It's just roughly in that 2.3 to 2.5 area. Like it just kind of briefly went to 3. But again, we're talking about, your resistance level, your support and so on. And I know I could have a more detailed graph and whatnot, but my point is, I'm basically saying, like, since last summer and so on, this has hovered right around above 2 cents for the longest time. And within the last couple of weeks, it's basically broke that support. So again, it's recognizing what is technically the bottom, if you will, with some of these. And what I mean is that particular example, that support line was about 2-3, 2.5 for, let's face it, a good 6 months, right? So if anything, when you say things like this, for instance, I'm scared of buying at the wrong time, I understand where you're coming from. I can relate to that. When is the bottom? The key thing, the point I'm trying to make here is, when is the bottom for your watch list, for your portfolio, if anything? Now, if you had never dollar cost averaged, or you don't hold any of these things you've been watching, that's a different story in itself. I don't know your particular situation, but for me personally, like for instance, let's say I was in vet and I got into it like, I don't know, 10 cents or something like that, and I'm just waiting for my next bag to be basically, I'm like, I want to see bottom, right? Well, guess what? There's my answer. That has been bottom so far, based off of what? Based off of data. Now, that's bottom currently, right? 1.9, because it's below that 2-cent mark and so on. So again, that's the current bottom. Now, am I a fortune teller who's going to say that it can't go further down from there and break support again? Well, of course, I don't know those particular answers. But the point being is just that recognizing what your portfolio reflects, and also having a watch list that you're keeping up with to recognize key things, to predict, I guess you could say, or look at what bottom is. What is bottom for you, not what is bottom for the whole market. And I think that's the key thing. I think a lot of times people, they misconstrue the whole thing, right? They just blanket everything. They look at Bitcoin, they look at Ethereum, they look at all of it, right? Instead of just narrowing it down specifically to what's in your watch list, So hopefully that helps you out just a little bit. That's the way I go about it. And if anything, I'm able, of course, to recognize certain ones, get them on sale. You guys seen it. Doesn't necessarily mean I bought some of those. Like, I'm still not into Clayton yet. I talked about it many times, but if anything, it was on my watch list. I pointed out, for instance, 13 cents, went up to 28. I did with Chili's, for instance, 9 cents. I mean, that one's fluctuating and so on, but I mean, that's another perfect example. 9 cents to 26, 28 cents. Uniswap example. Even with my old portfolio and so on, when I originally got into Kronos, Kronos is way further down compared to when I originally got into it. But last year's bull run went into it at 17 cents. And then basically rolled that up to like roughly 92, 93 cents, something like that. So again, it's all about what is in your watch list, what's in your portfolio, or what's in both, and how close you monitor that. All right. Thank you for the question, though. Tim Shea, hey, Otto Wally, the bottom is impossible to pin down. DCA is your friend. Yes, literally, he worded it different, but that's the way I look at it. Again, my example for Stellar Lumens. Here's a perfect example, right? So I held Stellar Lumens for the longest time now. I originally got into it like roughly about 26, 28 cents. I have to double check my portfolio, of course, but it has timestamp of when I did that. And then, of course, I just chose, like I mentioned on, I think, yesterday's show, I decided to DCA back into it, buying a second bag, and I got into that about, I think, 8.5 cents. That just made sense, and I was able to double my portfolio for significantly less compared to my original entry point. That is how you recognize what the bottom is for you, not necessarily what the bottom is for everyone else. All right. Crypto Puppet, good info, Max. Thank you so much. Michael Montclair, he's the bomb. Who's the bomb? Am I the bomb? Who's the bomb? All right. Were you talking about Crypto Lulu? He's the bomb too. Anyway. Salamander, XDC Commander, thanks again, man. Thanks, Max, for what you do. I think I mentioned that one before, but nonetheless, if that's a new one, thank you so much. Michael Montclair, sorry, I'm just listening, about to fall asleep, working all weekend. Have a good night. No problem, man. I understand. I'm probably putting you to sleep as well. Anyway, not really. All right, Crypto McDizzle for Shizzle states, if the USA is last to show whom wrote the standards for ISO 222, where do these standards originate from? Glad you mentioned this, right? So in the recent quant coverage, All right. I know sometimes maybe some of you guys watch the record, some of you don't, and it's okay. You guys watch who you want and so on. But Gilbert Verdian, believe it or not, wrote one of the original ISO standards back in 2014. And the recent video basically covers how they are setting the quote unquote the standards, if you will, for ISO. And it outlines specifically towards the beginning of the video his thoughts, and they kind of chuckle in a way, which is not necessarily messed up. It's just the reality of it. In that particular Cybos 2022 interview that they have with I forgot the guy's name, but anyway, in the interview they specifically mentioned how the U.S. just it's not showing up to the show. They don't use the term show, but won't be coming in until much later. And it's sad, but hopefully they'll, I still think that something can happen in which, they can basically accelerate by recognizing, look, like these countries, they're doing well for themselves. We need to do well for the U.S. All right. Crypto Puppet. Michael. Okay. P Nice is in the house. Hey, good to see you back again. XLM weekly chart looks amazing. Let's effing go. XLM, he says. P Nice. All right. Thanks again for joining us. XLM weekly chart buy zone. Go look. XRP long-term price. Long-term. Wow. I mean, I know some people, for instance, have it a lot higher than that, than mine. But I'm going basically with like 10,000 XRP. And I've seen even lowballed some of these conservative price predictions of like 1,200 and so on. And again, I'm not saying that's going to happen like the beginning of next year or anything like that. I know that, the whole thing of the SEC case, if that ends up being a win for Ripple, look to see, in my opinion, at least $10 in XRP. I think that's the first realistic low ball, if you will, for that. Some people are even further below that at $1, and I get it. But for me personally, that makes sense. But anyway, that's long term. I'm looking at like 10,000 in XRP. I've seen people do even higher than that. How do you really calculate debt? On like some examples that we had earlier. If you were here earlier, there's a guy named Crypto Lulu who basically pointed out, for instance, XRP taking on some of this debt. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of if we took on the United States' debt, right? We mentioned 31 trillion, right? That's a huge factor because I mean the tokenization of debt is going to be beyond massive. Now that's not me saying that the market cap of XRP is going to be something crazy like that. But if anything, it gives you a broader perspective of where this thing could go, especially when it comes to the financial sector and especially when it comes to some of this debt. And again, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But again, that's probably a big, big portion of it. All right. Tim Shea says, good night, Michael. Selma Foot, I did see the sticker down there. I meant to click on it. I'm sorry about that. He says 90 or with the 99-cent super sticker. Thank you very much, Selma. We really, really appreciate you consistently being here and so on. Hopefully you're having also a great Thanksgiving weekend. I saw some of the food that you basically shared and so on, like the one you showed about the asparagus. It's not about the looks, it's about the beauty. It's still beautiful. Hey man, it still looks good, probably better than what I had. So hats off to you again. Thanks so much, Somo. Really, really appreciate you, sir. Yeah, well, hopefully. All right, and then on top of that, Tim Shea says, hey Selmo. Let me see. Let me go further down. Gary Gensler and SBF. Caroline. Yeah, sweet Caroline. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Summer Flood in the house saying 10,000 XRP will set you free. It will. I mean, that's like, I don't know, 30 plus million. And that's just only one on my portfolio. Just like you guys. You guys got probably invested into the triple X's, quant and so on. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. Again, Somo, thank you for joining us. And everybody else as well. I know we're going about an hour and 43 minutes. I still have some XRP coverage I'm going to share with you. And then I actually had a request. I don't know if some of these guys are here and so on, but if anything, they can watch the record if they're not wanting me to give them the best kind of explanation of what Clearpool is and so on. Give me just a second. So let me just go ahead and do that. But I'm going to show the XRP coverage first. Crypto Puppet, best place to buy XRP. Well, it depends. If you're a very anti-centralized exchange, then obviously I'm not going to mention KuCoin. But if you're the type in which you're like, well, I'm going to go on the centralized exchange. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to move it to cold storage. Okay. I would say basically KuCoin. That's where I got mine. And if anything, I had no problems in that regard. So yeah, KuCoin. And if anything, if you're very anti having on centralized exchanges, you can always move it off of there to a cold storage. All right. Tim Shea with the 99-cent super sticker. Thank you very much, Tim Shea. Really appreciate that. We always appreciate the support that you guys give us here at CTN. It means a lot to us. So thanks again, Tim. Crypto Puppet, KuCoin. All right, cool. All right, Crypto Puppet. I get mine on Uphold. Yeah, I forgot about Uphold. A lot of you guys really like Uphold. That's worth mentioning. All right, let me show you guys some of the XRP coverage. All right. So we basically talked about the staking earlier. And of course, you know, by all means, I probably will put this on a, recorded, because I mean, what he mentioned there was just like, man, I mean, that was very well put on how Crypto Lulu explained that. But I don't think I shared this particular one, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me just share it in a way for you could hear it. So give me just a moment. So let's go ahead and share this. All right. So on this particular one, it says massive passive income using debt. And it's a little bit kind of like in reference to what was mentioned before. I think if anything, yeah, it is kind of in reference to what I was mentioning. So it's not the exact same thing, but if anything, it is kind of in reference to that. Listen to what he has to say on this particular one. Minute 46, and then we'll be right back.
What this does ultimately is opens up this whole new world of ways to make passive income. You could, for example, go to a bank. I'm not saying this would actually happen, but this is a kind of theory that I would have. You could go to someone who is a lender at the time, and they've got an agreement on a mortgage, for example. It can be any type of debt. So let's say the bank is the lender in a mortgage, and you kind of want to take over that agreement and be the lender. You buy that mortgage off the bank and then start receiving automatically, because it's all in the smart contract system, automatically start receiving the payments from the debtor, the person who's living in that house and paying the mortgage. And where this gets really, really crazy, and I really want to emphasize this opens up fractionalized lending. Now, this may be a really, really useful tool for people who haven't quite reached the accredited investor level. So if your portfolio value by the time this all goes up hasn't yet reached $1 million, let's say it's only reached $50,000, for example, you could utilize in a group of people, you could come together, you could utilize a smart contract system that allows you to invest in a mortgage, right, with other people to receive a fractionalized income, a passive income from the person paying that mortgage down, the debtor. So think about it this way. You and your buddies, you've all got a tiny amount of XRP, and that XRP goes up, and now your portfolio is worth $100,000. And there's a house out there that's $300,000, and you've got you've got two other friends, so there's a group of three of you, and you all go, hang on, should we all group together here and buy that loan, buy that debt off the bank, and we can split the repayments, the mortgage that person's paying, by 3, and we can use that as our passive income.
Yeah, just the many things like he just basically mentioned. I mean, and if anything, you know, I've seen a lot of people basically mentioning that XRP is going to become a bank, and when you see these particular things, like Crypto Lulu basically mentioned, it just solidifies it that much more for this particular discussion. It's like you kind of have an outline of where this realistically could go. And if anything, that's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, some of these things simply make sense, like where it comes from, you know, the tokenization of digital assets, you know, everything with real estate that's recently happened. Didn't have a chance to cover it here at CTN yet, but the whole thing, like with Portugal, and then the whole thing with real estate there. There's so many things, so many exciting things for the likes of Ripple and XRP. So let me go ahead and maybe share another one with you. Yep, I got one more, And then if anything after that, we might go ahead and show you, I think it was the thing with Clearpool, because I had a couple of requests for that. It's just a brief video. But if anything, here we go. Let me share this particular one as well. Yep, here it is. So let me just go ahead and click on that. Yeah, I'm going to show this particular one. All right, so it mentions the United States is actually the only country on the planet that thinks XRP is a security. We are actually growing leaps and bounds outside the United States, according to Brad Garlinghouse. But listen to this particular recent interview. And of course, we'll be back again, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, not too shabby. And then we'll kick it into, by request, some of the Clearpool info I have for you. It's in a particular video. And if anything, it gives you the quick gist of what it's all about. All right, here we go.
Some of these things we need to continue.
So work with Gary rather than against him. Why can't you guys bury the hatchet and find a way forward that you can make it a regulated product? This is Gary Gensler I'm talking about, the CFTC.
Well, look, the United States, interestingly, is the only country on the planet that thinks that XRP is a security. We operate in, I mean, we're actually growing leaps and bounds outside the United States. 95% of our customers are non-US. Just this week, we announced our key kind of product using XRP. It is now live into Africa. So we continue to grow. The dynamic in the United States, I think, is, really the SEC not following what the law says and trying to grab power, because the Securities and Exchange Commission can only regulate securities. If these aren't securities, then they can't regulate that. I think you're seeing someone try to power grab as opposed to work constructively with the industry. Frankly, like, there is a process for the SEC to do rule making, public comment, to create rules. Enforcement, trying to regulate through enforcement is not constructive for any industry.
Just on that, I mean, where are we on a end of for the XRP story with the SEC? Because as you would have seen, I think you got a 10% spike in XRP on the back of speculation that it was done, it was over, and then it was perhaps dismissed as not over. So where are we on the court case?
So I mean, the good news, this is all in the public courts, so it's all very transparent. Again, transparency builds trust. The motions for summary judgment have been filed. They will be fully briefed in front of the court. It's in the Southern District of the Southern District of New York. I'm probably getting that slightly wrong, but that'll be done by the end of November. So the case will be before the judge by the end of November. The question is, how long does a federal judge take to make a decision on this case? It could be 2 months, it could be 6 months. We don't know. My best guess is certainly in the first half of next year, there'll be closure here. And this is a truly pivotal case for the crypto industry in the United States. The United States is still the largest economy. I think we all in the crypto industry should care how this goes. But this really is the SEC trying to say this is all us. Gary Gensler has said he views nearly all crypto as securities. But frankly, he hasn't gone after a Coinbase. If he thinks all crypto securities, well, that means Coinbase is true.
Yeah, you just, Gary Gensler just kind of picks and chooses, right? Like he has been. All right, so let me go ahead and kick it into the comments. And we got one more thing to show with you guys tonight. Thank you, of course, for being here. Crypto Puppet basically states, KuCoin sounds cool. With the Cartman emoji. Luna Classic community holders holding 143,000 XRP. I'm pretty sure that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Legrand Commission. Thank you for joining us. And let's see here. Tim Shea. Yeah, Legrand Commission. All right. Selma Fudd says 250,000 of XRP. Flexing. You guys are having a flex contest, huh? That's pretty impressive. Wow. Yeah, you guys, man, I mean, 250,000 XRP. So, for instance, man, I got to add that up. So, like, let me see here. 250,000 XRP times, like, the 10,000 I was saying earlier. Did I say 10,000 or say more than that? I don't know. Oh, man. $2.5 billion. I got to say it like Dr. Evil, do the whole thing. Anyway. Wow, that is massive. All right. Yeah, gosh, yeah. I guess 10,000 XRP is a start. Hey, you got me beat, man. I mean, I'm at like, I think 3,600, maybe close to 4,000, something like that. Somo Flood 10K is a great start. Yeah, I'm trying to get some of those particular goals. But nonetheless, yeah. All right, let me go ahead and kick it to the last part of our coverage. Now, on this particular one, after we'll try to wrap up the show and so on. As you guys know, I cover Clearpool as much as I can here at CTN. I did another recent video about the tokenomics and so on. Some of you guys don't know what it's about. Maybe you don't care what it's about and so on. I'm not paid for by Clearpool to promote anything they have and so on. But if it wasn't for them, I don't think I ever would have started MaximusCrypto originally. And I did over about 35, 36, something like that, maybe close to 40 different videos. This particular one that you're going to see was promoted by Cryptonauts, and of course they have about 91,000 subscribers. I'm gonna go ahead and share it here at CTN. I usually try to do the whole 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out. On this particular one is 9 minutes, but if anything, this particular gentleman from Cryptonauts does a very eloquent job of just basically taking everything of what Clearpool is and putting it into one condensed video. So if anything, here it is. Before we wrap it up, this is basically what Clearpool is all about. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this in just a second. And if anything, I want to basically state that, it's one of those ones that flies on the radar, but I think in the next bull run, it'll be on everybody's radar. We're talking about one that went from 39 cents on a listing on CMC to up over $2.50 some odd cents in 2.5 weeks. Going to be killing it in DeFi. Here we go. All right. Let me just rewind this. Let me see. All right, here we go.
Did you know that traditional capital markets are worth over $120 trillion today? That's 3 times the size of all global stock markets combined, currently at approximately $40 trillion. Clearpool is disrupting this market and focused on building a new decentralized architecture and the building blocks for trillions of capital flow from TradFi to DeFi over the next coming years. It's essentially a decentralized capital markets ecosystem where institutional borrowers can create single borrower liquidity pools and compete for uncollateralized liquidity directly from the DeFi ecosystem. Anyone can be a lender and take advantage of these opportunities, which were previously only available to large institutions, whales, and those with high-level connections. So why should you watch to the end of this video and learn more about this project? Well, Clearpool is actually backed by the very best with the industry's leading investors, which include Sequoia Capital, Arlington Capital, Holby Ventures, and some of my homies over at GBV. Shout out to you guys. They are also incubated by Asia's leading digital asset custodian, Hex Trust, which currently has $6 billion under their custody, and they're fully licensed in Hong Kong and Singapore, which ensures a regulatory-first, compliance-focused, and high-security approach for Clearpool. They're also ready to launch their mainnet, and they have a lot of high-profile borrowers that are ready to jump in. This includes Wintermute, Amber Group, FBG, and a few others. If these 3 reasons don't convince you, at least do it for yourself. Learn and educate yourself on these things because this is a topic that schools don't regularly teach. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, show us some love and click that red button. It only takes a few seconds. Now, on to the market. Digital asset adoption is growing exponentially, offering a lot of opportunities to investors. At this moment, there are over 360 active crypto hedge funds globally, with the median average return of 128% and a total AUM of over $25 billion as of 2020. Together with other players such as market makers and trading desks, they form the institutional segment of DeFi's ecosystem. Despite the impressive statistics, crypto institutions do not have the same access to capital as their traditional counterparts. Traditional lenders do not extend credit to crypto institutions, forcing them to look elsewhere for liquidity. Borrowing in DeFi typically requires collateral, and in most cases, loans must be over-collateralized. This is an inefficient use of capital and is a major pain point for crypto institutions. In the crypto world, over-collateralization refers to the provision of collateral worth more than the amount being borrowed. Without access to unsecured loans, crypto institutions face major restrictions. Clearpool is the first decentralized marketplace for institutional liquidity on the blockchain. This is a paradigm shift in the way institutions borrow uncollateralized liquidity. Clearpool introduces two new core concepts to DeFi: single borrower liquidity pools and tokenized credit. These innovations allow institutional borrowers to access uncollateralized liquidity and provide lenders with a framework for the management of risk. Let's look at an example. John is a trader working at Alpha X Fund. He is looking to access a digital asset loan worth $10 million of USDC to execute a new risk-neutral trading strategy he's been working on with his portfolio manager. John has heard of Clearpool and wants to give it a try. Before John can open a single borrower liquidity pool, he must first make a proposal to the Clearpool community, providing information on Alpha X Fund and details of the loan requirements. During this process, John needs to verify the KYC status of Alpha X Fund with an approved digital asset custodian partner of Clearpool. Real quick, KYC stands for Know Your Customer, which essentially means you need to provide your personal information to verify it's really you. Clearpool will obtain Alpha X Fund's real-time portfolio risk metrics from information generated by both on-chain and off-chain data sources, providing the Clearpool community with comprehensive credit profiling and assurance that Alpha X Fund is actually trading responsibly. Now, the Clearpool community has all the information they need to reach a consensus decision on the whitelisting of Alpha X Fund, which is done through a governance voting process. Once whitelisted, John can now launch the Alpha X Fund liquidity pool on Clearpool, where it will be visible to all potential liquidity providers when they connect to the app. These details of Alpha X Fund's liquidity pool will now be available to Alice, a potential lender looking to take advantage of the yield opportunities available on Clearpool. Alice can select the specific institutions or type of institutions that she wants to lend to. She has the ability to go up or down the credit curve, selecting a specific risk-reward profile, or she may diversify her lending activities across multiple pools through Clearpool governance-created thematic pools. All right, so bear with me. Thematic pools are governance-created multi-borrower liquidity pools that conveniently provide LPs with the benefits of diversification. Liquidity supplied to a thematic pool is algorithmically distributed to multiple borrowers and periodically rebalanced as per the pool's governance approved mandate. Once Alice has provided liquidity to Alpha X Fund, she will receive CP tokens in return. CP tokens represent the amount of liquidity supplied and accrue the interest rate and LP rewards for that specific pool. CP tokens also represent the risk profile of the pool's borrower. Tokenizing credit allows Alice to trade the risk that she has taken on by funding the Alpha X Fund pool. Tokenized credit paves the way for introducing further risk management and hedging solutions such as credit and interest rate derivatives. Now, interest is paid in the currency of the pool, whereas LP rewards are paid in C-Pool, Clearpool's governance and utility token. Let's talk more about the C-Pool token, shall we? C-Pool provides its holders with several benefits, including additional rewards when staking C-Pool, voting rights for the whitelisting of new borrowers, governance rights, since C-Pool holders will guide the future direction of the protocol once it is fully decentralized. Staking C-Pool will be a required action for borrowers and optional for the rest of the community. However, holders who are staking their token will qualify for greater rewards when it comes to voting and participating as an LP. Protocol revenue will be used to buy back C-Pool in the open market, ensuring the sustainability of Clearpool's lucrative reward pools. So what about Adam, a retail investor and crypto enthusiast? Can he participate in the protocol? Yes, he can, and you can too. Clearpool will be available to both retail and institutional lenders. Retail investors can benefit from the innovations and yield opportunities that Clearpool brings to DeFi, as well as participating in whitelist voting, governance, and staking. C-Pool tokens are listed on decentralized and centralized exchanges, making this project accessible to everyone. These are the first building blocks of a decentralized capital markets ecosystem. These guys are really pioneering the way, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the future. If you want to keep up to date with their project, follow them on Twitter and join their Telegram. The links are below. From all of us here at Cryptonauts and Clearpool, we hope that this video helps you understand more about finance, crypto, and its markets. We worked collaboratively to produce this script, so big ups to them for explaining it in an easy way for all of us to learn. Also,
all right, so there you have it. Of course, you know, that was about 8 minutes, 43 seconds. I know I like doing the 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out, but, you know, shout out to him, this particular guy over at Cryptonauts, for putting this together. And if anything, it wraps up and condenses it in a way you can easily understand. Because, I mean, there's a lot to wrap your head around when it comes to Clearpool. But anyway, guys, glad to, of course, be able to share that with you guys. It's going to read the last couple comments, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Luna Classic community holders been accumulating since 2019, according to Legrand Commission. Pulse Chain Hex, Crypto P Hex, E Hex, Blockchain Knows. All right, you brought it back. If only KuCoin has Pulse Trump, lol. I get my XRP from KuCoin or Mexi. All right, fair enough. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Pulse Chain Hex, Crypto P Hex, E Hex, Blockchain Notes. So, all right, you guys, thanks for joining us again tonight at Crypto Talk Now for more of our crypto coverage and so on. And if anything, check out the recorded video section, especially today. We dropped a couple more in there, Quant, Clearpool, and so on. I'm going to try to put out some XRP hopefully later tonight and so on. And another, of course, follow-up update in regards to the Cybos 2022 coverage for Quant. Thanks again. Y'all have a blessed night, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Take it easy.